Morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. We are here this morning with Alan Johnson, and he came recommended to us by one of our very own former IASians, I guess you could say, that we still know and love. And she is here with us this morning as well, Carrie Williams. So they go way back. And when Carrie knew that we were doing this Virtual Hope Speaker Series, she said, you have to get Alan on. And, I've heard all wonderful things, Alan, from Carrie. So, but I don't want to, spoil anything. And so I knew just hearing the tidbits that I have about you and your story, that we are very, very excited to have you here. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Alan is a real estate agent, just so everybody knows. He has his own business, his own team. And so he will probably speak to that a little bit if he feels that that is going to be part of the journey that we're going to speak to and the story that we're going to speak to. But just so you're aware, that is his career landing for us this morning as well. So, and Julie is also going to we're going to do a little bit more of a tag team style this morning. I'm really excited for this because we want to do more of like a discussion style for this morning. We thought that would be a really great flow. So thank you again for being here. We're very excited to have you.
Thank you.
I want to just go ahead and actually jump right in with you and talk to you and ask you about where you were. Take us back to high school. Alan, in high school, where were you there? What was your mindset? A lot of the kids who are on this morning, that's where they are. They're in high school, right. And they're thinking about what's their next point. What are they going to do next, or what's their next chapter, if you will. Right. So if you can shift us back to that point in your life, where was your mind at? What were you thinking? What were you doing? And just take us from there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I grew up in Charlottesville, Virginia, country boy. I'm 45 years old. So, I think I grew up in a little bit different time than some of the kids that may be on this call, maybe on a very familiar time to some of the teachers on this call. But going into high school, I didn't have a whole lot of scholastic confidence, but I had a whole lot of life confidence. I got held back in 8th grade, and it bruised my ego. It definitely bruised my ego. When you're growing up with kids who you all grow together, and then they go on to a certain grade and you don't. By the time I got into 9th grade, they were in 10th grade, and I just didn't have the confidence that a lot of them had, and a lot of it was because I'm dyslexic, right? And no one ever told me I was dyslexic. I just knew that I couldn't read as well as everyone else. I knew that I couldn't decipher the information as quickly as everyone else. But I knew I had a talent. I knew that God put some seeds in me that were going to be a harvest somewhere down the line, but I just didn't. Those seeds weren't coming up out the ground yet, and I had to do a lot of tilling. And I think there were a lot of people in my life that did a lot of tilling around those seeds and putting confidence in me. And then as I went into 10th grade, I was in a private school, and I was there to play basketball, and I got kicked out of that school. I got kicked out of that school because I cheated on a test. I wasn't smart enough to know that I got an F in biology, but me getting a 100 on a test wasn't going to raise a red flag to the teacher. Going through high school, I had a lot of things that I had to work out. And by God's grace, I kind of got it together. And kind of went from there.
I mean, already there's, so many things already. I mean, you mentioned that you already kind of, you had some life confidence, and then that was bruised in 8th grade. And then do you feel, here's my first question is, when you got into high school and you saw those other people already ahead, do you feel like you had lost those connections with people? And then how did you make new connections or repair the connections that you had had?
Yeah, I think it was a double-edged. I think it ended up being a double blessing, right? Because number one, I think pride is the biggest impediment to achievement.
Yeah.
And to where I'm a man of faith, so you're gonna hear me say God a lot here. So I'm not gonna ask for forgiveness for that.
Love that. Keep it up.
I on one side, it made me adapt. It made me understand that I had to adapt, right? And that just because something was something that pulled me back, it wasn't necessarily was something that was going to keep me from going forward. So I always looked at the things where I was getting held back as a slingshot, right? So God was pulling me back. He was pulling me back. He was pulling me back, but he was preparing me to sling me forward somewhere down the line. I just needed to not let the slingshot go too fast.
Sure.
If you let the slingshot go too fast, the rock's not going to go anywhere. So he was pulling me back for me to get ready. So that was one of the blessings. The other blessing was that it gave me some time to catch up.
Yeah.
And I needed that time to catch up. I didn't know that I needed that time to catch up. We're so busy. We're in a world where we want to hurry up and get to the next. We want to hurry up and get to the next. We want to get through this. We want to get through that. Well, everyone learns differently, and everyone learns at a different pace. And if we don't understand the pace that we learn at, then we will always have this level of anxiety and this level of trying to get somewhere that we're not ready for. And I just wasn't ready for 9th grade, right? I wasn't ready for it. And, you know, the one thing I remember is that my parents didn't beat me up about it. The school was really like graceful about the way they did it. And it ended up being that time that I needed to get physically more mature and academically more mature and personally more mature.
Yeah. That's beautifully said. And so that was really, I mean, I'm sure you had other setbacks prior to being in 8th grade. I know I kind of transitioned you back there, but that leads me into this whole idea of setbacks, right? I mean, we all go through those things. I think, though, we all handle them differently.
Right.
So that would be my next question is for you. What were some ways, because I know that the way that you handle setbacks might connect with some of the ways that our students would like to or strive to handle setbacks. So how are some ways that you started handling setbacks? And even today, do you still handle them the same way would be my question. So kind of focusing in on those setbacks that I'm sure that you have experienced throughout your life so far.
Yeah. It's funny. The dyslexic kid loves to read. The dyslexic kid wrote a book, right?
Right.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I handled setbacks by understanding that there were other people who are on a journey who never tell you about their setbacks. So let me hit all you students on here. Every single one of your teachers has had a setback in life. They probably had a setback last week. They probably had a setback this morning, right? But we oftentimes look at people and we only see where they are, and then we don't see the journey that they go on, right? And many people are still processing their journey, so they're not ready to tell the story. Sometimes they haven't even learned the lesson yet because it's not ready for them to learn the lesson. So I learned the lesson from other people. I read stories about, people that Michael Jordan and the people that I looked up to, and I looked at their stories and I said, okay, well, he got cut from his team, right? And he's still the greatest basketball player of all time. Well, maybe there's some places in my life where I can get through and I can get past, and I can learn the lesson that I'm supposed to learn while I'm here at this moment in time. And so I just slow myself down. I look to other people who have been through life. I look at what they're going through and growing through, because you got two choices.
Right.
You can go through it or you can grow through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I decide that I'm going to grow through things instead of going through things.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, Alan. I was you alluded to this in talking about setbacks, but a lot of our students, this is called the Kids at Hope Speaker Series, and this concept of what hope means to all of us. And it sounds like as you were looking at the other people's journeys around you, that probably came up in your head. What does it mean to be hopeful? So what is your definition as someone who's gone through this journey? What is your definition of hope for our students?
Man, that's such a good question.
That's a big one.
What is my definition of hope? My definition of hope. So my life culminates to moments like this, right? All the success that I've had in real estate. Last year, we sold $85 million worth of real estate.
Wow.
The number one real estate team in Prince William County.
Wow.
No one does it the way that we do it. But all of those moments have culminated to the moment where I can share my journey with someone and give them some hope, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, I've always looked at my journey and my definition of hope is to give someone else that hope, right? And you can't give someone else something that you don't have, right? So if I can give hope to someone, then inherently that means that I have hope inside of myself, right? Mm-hmm. So when I'm talking to the students out there, and also to the teachers, if you find that you are lacking something in your life, go try to give that exact same thing to someone else, and mm-hmm. it will eventually grow into your life.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Like just putting yourself out there to someone else can take you to a different place when you're maybe feeling hopeless.
Right.
Students are right on. We have a lot of seniors probably here with us today who are on that cusp of moving on to something new and maybe feeling maybe there's some hope and maybe there's not. So hearing that is helpful. That brings to my other question about, sorry, I'm the English teacher who's going to ask you for definitions today. We define success for our students, because I think in the world that we live in today, to be successful, there's so many different ways we can describe that. What is it for you as someone who's lived in this area and has your own business? What do you describe for yourself as being successful as a person?
Yeah. So success for me is being a father, right? Mm-hmm. First, it's being a husband second. A man of faith first, father, husband, leader. Those are the things that are successful to me. And it's funny, like I always thought the success was chasing money first. Right, and chasing achievement, because that's what the world will tell you, right? Everything you look at is, all right, the more money you make, the more successful you are. I will tell you that I was happy. I was just as happy when I was with my friends in college dorm rooms sharing a $5 Domino's pizza as I was, on a beach 2 weeks ago in Turks and Caicos with my family, right? Mm-hmm. Now it's a different type of happiness, right? Because now I'm a father and there's levels to the happiness, but happiness is something that you have regardless of where you are and what you do, right? Yeah. I am just as happy here with you guys on this call as I am selling $1 million home, right? You cannot let your achievement be connected to your happiness. Because if you connect your achievement to your happiness, then you will always be chasing the proverbial next thing, the next thing. And I know a lot of guys who make a lot of money, who do a lot of great things, that just aren't happy.
Right.
They just aren't happy. They project happy, but in their day-to-day, they're just not, they're still seeking something. And I want to seek something that I can get every day. I can kiss my kids. I can hug and love my wife. I can have these types of conversations. And if I can feel myself, if this is my definition of happiness, then the world can't control that. I can control that.
And I think that goes back to even what you said with giving something to someone else, that you protruding and projecting this happiness, that is something that you're able to pass on a regular basis to those around you, whether they be a client or a friend or your kids or the students that I know. Carrie has mentioned that you mentor students. Right. So the students that you mentor too. I mean, I think that's a very powerful thing for a lot of students, but also us, even to hear and even tell ourselves on a regular basis that what you give off is what you're also going to be taking in, that your energy about you kind of feeds you. It helps you thrive and helps you move forward.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing for you to say. Thank you. Yeah. Beautiful thing for you to say. I did want to ask you about, because I know that you mentioned there were people in your life who surrounded you and supported you. And here with Kids at Hope, there's one thing that we really hone in on a lot, and that is we tell our teachers and we also tell our students that to try to find ACEs in your lives, people, caring adults who will surround you and support you and uplift you. And we tell our teachers that, if you can't be the ACE for a student, or if you are unable, then to help them navigate finding one, and to encourage them to make connections with caring adults in their lives, figure out who those people are, grasp onto them, and help them, like you said, grow through their journey as they move through life. So my question to you is, thinking about your younger self, thinking about growing, and even now, who are some of those people that just immediately come to mind that have been those caring, supportive people in your village, if you will, throughout your life? And how do you foster and make sure to kind of curate those relationships on a regular basis?
Yeah. The first person, and Carrie knows what I'm going to say, the first person that comes to mind is my dad. I remember as a young man, everything that he said would go out of one ear and right out the other. I felt like he was barking at me. I felt like that he was like instructing me, and I didn't understand his wisdom until I got older, right? And I also think that my dad matured in the way that he delivered messages as well, maybe through me, right? I've been fortunate. I've been extremely fortunate to have parents that love me through things that I've been through, right? And I honor that relationship. I honor that relationship now by doing the same things that my dad did for me for other people. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's good. We all feel the feels. Trust me, I'm right there with you. I'm an empath, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah, they say men are not supposed to cry, but I've always chosen to control that emotion. I never want to give that crying emotion only to sad things. Right. I want to be able to control it and give it to great things as well.
Absolutely.
So for all my young men out there, don't be afraid to be vulnerable, because there are oftentimes things that you need to get out. And don't just cry on bad things. There are a lot of things that are happy that you can let your emotion out about as well. But my mom and my dad were there through it all, right? My mom integrated her high school in Charlottesville. My dad went to a segregated school, graduated at up to 10th grade, because I don't know if you guys know that Virginia was one of the last states to integrate public schools. There were a lot of public schools that decided to shut down instead of allowing Black students to go to school. So I knew they taught me a lot about my history and also taught me a lot about my responsibility. And as I got older, I started to understand that my responsibility wasn't to be the best. It was just to grow. It was to take the information that they gave me, and just to every day try to get 1% better at something. And some days that was sports. Some days that was picking up things around the house. Some days that was being a better big brother to my little brother. Some days that was being better in the classroom. There are a lot of things that I could improve, but every day, if I was honoring the work that they were putting into me, that I was going to be the type of man and the type of person that they could sit back and be proud of. And now I think one of the best moments for me is seeing my parents and my kids together, right? Because I'm able to see all the work that they put into it culminate into that moment. So just understand that time does go fast. And right now, your parents may feel like that they're barking at you a little bit. But at the end of the day, the people that care about you the most sometimes are the people that will push you the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And right now, it feels like that they may be pushing you, but right now, they may just be encouraging you. And that's the only way that they know how to do it. So just as you're maturing, understand you got to give your parents an opportunity to mature in the way that they're teaching you as well. This is their first time doing it as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to figure it out as well.
That's very inspiring.
Max, I love your energy, man. Max,
Hey, I love yours too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all feel that way at some point, usually about our parents. And then when we start to get older, we realize, well, they had a lot of good things to say. They had a lot of wisdom in them. And so I think that that's something that, and that's sometimes hard for even students to hear now, because I think they don't only hear it from their parents. They hear it from us as their teachers. They feel like we're might be down their throat a little bit about things. But I like that you said it's because we care.
Yeah.
And so it's all about perspective, right? So try not to think of it as that they're trying to annoy you or bother you, that they are truly caring about you. And that's another perspective to grasp onto.
Yeah. As you get older, the world is not going to encourage you, right? That's not what the world is. The world, like when you go to a job or you get to college, it's on you at that point, right?
Yep.
You may get lucky and find a couple teachers that really care about you in college, but once you get into your workforce, you guys know, it's competitive, right? So use the people that God's put into your life right now that are pushing you to help you, right? And I think back, Mr. Bueller. I never forget Mr. Bueller was my 11th grade English teacher, and I did not like Mr. Bueller, right? But if there was no Mr. Bueller, there would be no book, right? And, he pushed me to think, and he gave me a lot of D's and a lot of F's, but also spent a lot of time with me, giving me an opportunity to get better, and as long as those people that are pushing you are giving you opportunities to get better, then they genuinely do care about you, because time is the most important, asset that we have. And if a teacher, and I know because my wife is doing virtual school right now, if a teacher is giving you extra time, then they genuinely care about you.
Right. Thank you for saying that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The last question, and it doesn't have to be the last, but one of the things we just want to know from you is if you had, and you've kind of alluded to many great pieces of advice today throughout what you've been saying to us, but if you could tell our staff members, but especially our teenagers who are on the call with us today, our high school students, what is 3 pieces of advice you would give them? It can be about personal life, about career, about taking this next step into their journey, transitioning from being kids to being adults. What are the top 3 pieces of advice you would give them?
The first one is God doesn't waste pain, but you can, right? So you're going through you may be going through something right now that's painful, but God ain't wasting that pain. He is taking you through that for a reason that's going to be so much greater down the line. You just got to last. You got to last and you got to learn, right? That's number 1. Number 2, if you're going through something, keep going. Keep going. Don't stop in the middle of it, because you'll get stuck there, right? If you just keep on going through it, keep walking through it, then at the end of the day, you're gonna get through it if you just keep walking. Keep walking. Don't stop. Keep walking. Don't run, right? Because if you run, then you lose the lesson, right? But if you walk, you're walking and you have a constant pace and you can see the things that are going on through your life, and going on through your journey. And last but not least, man, be a blessing, right? Be a blessing. You may be going through something right now, but I guarantee that I could pick, if you live in Fairfax County, you probably live a better life than 99% of the people in the world, right? I could pull you out of your house and I could put you into a third world country and you will instantly feel grateful, right? So just understand that there are other people. You may be going through something right now, but there are other people out there that are going through things that are much, much, much more in depth, much more dire. There are kids out there that don't have food to eat. And just because you are in your little, we are in our little bubble, right? Doesn't mean that we don't need to be aware of what's going on outside of our lens, outside of our county, right? So, take some time to be graceful to people around you. I think one of the best things that I've ever done is to spend time with people who need help, right? And being available, right? And using the gifts that I've been given to be a blessing to people. So I think those are three things that have helped me. And if you can just take one of those things and apply those to your life, I think that you'll find you'll find a little bit of peace, a little bit of hope, as Julie said, and a little bit of purpose and direction as well.
I love what you said about slowing down. I mean, we are always, especially in this area, such in a rush to get things done, to check things off the list, to move ahead, to accomplish. And I think something I know we've been trying to get our students to do more of, but I think as adults we need to as well, is to just reflect, to just look, like you said, look at where you are, slow down and look at the scenery a little bit. And I think that's, this is just a bonus question here. I'm just curious what you do, what did you start doing in your daily life as a business leader and as a person to put yourself in that perspective? Because that's such a healthy outlook on life that I think even as adults struggle to have. And I think it's a great thing for our students just the things that you add to your daily life to keep that perspective. Because sometimes it's so easy to get stuck in the weeds of all the things we should be doing or could be doing. And I think for our students, especially, what do you do to get yourself there every day, even if it's habits?
Yeah. So I meditate in the morning. I've got an app on my phone called the Calm app. I meditate. I pray. I've learned that Alan's not so good at handling all the issues that come in life, and I need some help. I journal. I read. I work out. Right. I do the basic things that make me happy, right, and knock the edge off. I do not watch news in the morning. I refuse to allow anything that's negative to enter into my mind and my spirit early in the morning, and really all throughout the day. And I'm just very deliberate about the energy that I put into my life. I do know that I'm going to deal with difficult people from time to time. I do know that I'm going to deal with difficult situations from time to time, but it doesn't mean that I need to change, right? I found as a young man, I would handle things through emotion, and emotion is a very dangerous place to handle issues, right? I've learned that if I can calm myself down, if I can take a couple breaths, if I can understand that the person who's bringing me this issue is coming from a place that they got issues too. They got things going on, and I only see the residue of what they're going through. And I think that as teachers, you also got to understand that as well. Like, these kids are oftentimes coming to your school with a lot of things that are back here that have led up to this right here. And if you start judging people on this right here, then I don't think you're really looking at kids the way that you should be looking at them all back here. And then same for the students, right? Teachers got a life too. They got kids, they got everyone's dealing with the COVID society. It's crazy right now. And they are dealing with that as well, right? And they've got all these things that have led up to this. So I think if we start to look at each other a little bit more gracefully and understanding that people are coming from different situations and different places, then we can work through a lot more issues that might crush us or might get us into situations that aren't so good.
Yep, and that's a way to definitely be that blessing that you were speaking of, and to also grow. I love that you said, like, just growing through your journey, and that kind of speaks to the slowing down of it. If you don't slow down, you're not going to be able to grow through your journey.
Right.
You're not going to be able to stop, reflect, and actually do that digging into what you can learn from what you are going through and experiencing.
Right.
So thank you. Very, very wise words. Very wise.
Wisdom comes from experience, and
it sure does. And I think that also speaks with our students, they are young, and they need to know that they are going to make those mistakes, and it's going to happen. And it's just about how you deal with them and how you set yourself up for that forward motion. Yeah. As you continue to move through those setbacks that you are going to experience.
Yeah. Don't try to grow up too fast, guys.
Yeah.
Don't try to grow up too fast. Like literally wherever you are from 9th grade to 12th grade. And I pray that many of you go to, to even higher scholastic heights and college or wherever that is, your own business. I don't know what that is. This moment in time that you have is an enjoyable time, right? Do not overthink being young, right? Yeah. You got plenty of time to overthink things. Plenty of time to overthink things. Don't overthink things right now.
Yes, absolutely. Wait till your 30s. Exactly. Then you can start to think.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson. I had a great time hearing you speak. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. So that leads us also, we wanted to open up the chat box. And even if you want to unmute yourself, you can to ask questions of Mr. Johnson. We're going to open it up for a few minutes here for that. So chat box is open. You can also unmute yourself. Please feel free to ask questions. Usually it takes a few moments for them to get rolling in, Mr. Johnson. So I want to give them that space.
It is all fine with me.
The virtual wait time. That's
yes. The virtual wait time, exactly.
Well, while we're waiting for students, I do have one additional question that was just what led you to get into real estate? And that was one thing, we've heard a lot about your personal journey, but what was the pull to get into this particular field? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I always people's career journeys and what leads them to different businesses.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's what was it? So I was the quintessential late bloomer, like everything. It took me 13 years to get out of 12 years of school. No, it took me 14 years because kindergarten doesn't count. So it took me 14 years to get out of 13 years of school. It took me 5 years to get out of 4 years of college at George Mason. Shout out to Mason Nation. My first job out of college was at a used car dealership. I was an English major and my mom was upset. She was like, look, you went to college to become a used car salesperson. This does not add up, right? It was one of the best jobs I ever had. I worked there 2 years. I made a lot of money. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a work ethic, right? Because at a car dealership, you work Saturday, Sundays, Friday, Saturday. You're on when everyone else is off. And what it allowed me to do was to save a lot of money. And through saving that money, I ended up needing to buy a house, right? When you make a certain level of income, you go to your accountant, they're like, hey, you're making good money. You should go buy a house, write-offs, all that good stuff. So one day my dad says, hey, I'm gonna come up with you and we're gonna go to some open houses and look at some houses, right? So Nico, I kind of look like I kind of look like Snoop Dogg back in the day. I had cornrows. I didn't look like the quintessential buyer, right? On my day off, I had sweatpants. I'm walking into these houses and no one will talk to me. I mean, no one, right? Every agent looks at my dad. They won't talk to me. I don't look like the quintessential buyer. So I get to the last home and this older lady says, hey, you remind me of my nephew. I'll help you buy a house. She said, come to my office on Tuesday and we'll set you up. So I go to her house I go to her office on a Tuesday. I never forget, it's on Old Key Mill Road. And she stands me up. No, she's not there. I didn't get her cell phone number, obviously. And I'm like, I called my dad back and I was like, that's a sign. I'm not supposed to buy a house. Nice condo in Kingstown. I'm good. So I go back to work on a Wednesday and the first person that walks in to buy a car is a young Latino realtor named Lydio Vasquez. And I figured that was God speaking to me. What are the odds of the next person walking into the dealership, buying a car, being a real estate agent? So I told him that, you know, I was going to buy a house through him. I think 2 months later, I owned a house, and I went to Nova and took real estate classes. And I decided that anyone that looked like me was not going to ever have that issue if I knew about it. I was not going to prejudge anyone. I was going to make sure I was available. I was going to try to be the best agent I possibly could. And 20 years later, 1,500 homes later, you know, here I am. You know, so, you know, I think, guys, as you walk through your journey and your purpose, understand that sometimes you will be at a place that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? But that selling used cars is what made me a great real estate agent, right? I learned the X's and O's of dealing with people on a car lot in Fairfax when a lot of agents who I work with never had any sales experience, right? I had the ultimate sales experience. And it's funny, I had to honor that used car dealership opportunity for me to be ready for the next opportunity that was coming along. So when you're going through your journey, guys, you may be at a place that doesn't make sense, but make sure you honor that place. Because oftentimes it's preparing you for the next place.
Awesome. That's amazing.
I love hearing how people get to where they are supposed to be. Like, and I just honoring that place makes so much sense, because sometimes we're all in places where we're like, what is this preparing me for? And that you were able to recognize that and take that next step is awesome. I see that Gary had a question in the chat about going back to your school days. She asked, what services did you get in school to accommodate your dyslexia? Was it something that you didn't get any?
Zero. And here's the funny thing. Teachers, you guys got to fight for your students. Right? It's your responsibility to find resources, because many of these parents are working hard, right? They don't have time. And the reason why I say that is because my daughter is dyslexic as well, right? And we've been battling with the public school system to find resources that I feel like should be known. And guys, I'm 100% honest. I'm not here about throwing anybody under the bus, but I'll call a spade real quick. And you know, we've been blessed to be able to have the flexibility to be able to find things and to be able to have things, but you guys have to advocate for your students, right? Because oftentimes they don't have people that will advocate for them, and you may be the last person that will ever advocate for them. Right. So I didn't have any resources. My daughter will, but it was, you know, 2 degrees, and my wife is a business owner as well. She works with me. You know, we just, you know, we still had problems finding it.
I'm sorry that you have to go through that. That's like, it's too bad, but I'm glad that you've been able to have the know-how, the whereabouts to navigate some of those things with her as well. And given that you grew up dealing with this and probably still battle it today, hopefully you're able to have that support at home with her. When it comes to those things as well. And I think, paying attention, what I get out of what you're saying too is just we believe in building relationships here with IAS, that is the foundation of moving, of growing with our students. That's the foundation of what we believe in building relationships. And I think that just speaks to that. You have to build the relationship so that you can advocate for the students. So you can be there for them.
And then for those students that are going through those, me going through being a dyslexic oftentimes helped me create other skills that benefit me down the line. Right? So don't just use the fact that you're dyslexic as a crutch. There are other things, like I had to learn how to public speak because I couldn't read, right? As well as I wanted to. Well, now that's pays me. I get paid to speak and to help people make decisions. It forced me to create relationships with teachers that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to create, because I needed to find a way to be able to, get a second chance, right? And to figure this thing out. Oftentimes the things that you're going through are also opportunities that you are going to have that other people won't have, that are being crafted in you, right? That are going to be super duper valuable, super skills down the line. So you're not let off the hook just because you got this thing going on. I need you to battle through it, and I need you to work it, because if you work it, not only are you going to be able to have this conquered, but you're going to have a skill that many people don't have as well.
I love your overall approach. It just seems like you have this very big theme, Alan, of just like, yes, you have this and it might suck, but look at the silver lining of it. Let's look at the positive of it. Let's look at the hopeful of it. Let's look at how you can help people with it. Look at how it actually how it will help you. That just seems to be a very big theme of what you talk about. And I love that. I love that. We do have another question here. It looks like it's from Kelly Dugan, and I believe she's a student. She asked, how do you motivate?
KD, I'm gonna call you KD, because KD, Kelly Dugan. How do I motivate? Like I said, in the mornings, I listen to positive things. One of my favorite apps, and I encourage you guys to check it out, is the Quote of the Day show by Sean Croxton. Quote of the Day show by Sean Croxton. And what he has bite-sized quotes every morning that he's kind of like edited down to like just like small things, right? Small things like 10-minute clips, 5-minute clips, 12-minute clips. I find that I absorb information better in those little small clips. Yeah. So I listen to those in the morning. I affirm myself every day, Kelly. I wrote an affirmation. I am a child of God. I can and will do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I'm deeply in love with God, his word, his mission for my life, and I'm going to share his love. I'm in tune with my body. I work out every day seeking new ways to make my body perform the best it can. I am strong. I am healthy. I'm absolutely the person that God created me to be. I'm excited about the blessing today brings. Today is an opportunity to get better at life, and I'm going to seize the blessing. I am the husband, the father, the son, the friend, the leader that God wants me to be. I'm excited about the blessing today brings. Today is an opportunity to get better at life, and I am going to seize the blessing. I affirm myself every day. I look at myself in the eyes until I find myself, and I look in my eyes and I tell myself the affirmation. And my kids have affirmations, right? Because life and death is in the power of the tongue, right? What you say is going to happen, right? It might not happen today, might not happen tomorrow, but if you keep saying it, it's going to happen. I'll leave you guys with this because I got to go sell a house real quick. Red cars make up less than 1% of all the cars, less than 1% of 1% of all the cars manufactured. Red car, 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 red car. Watch how many red cars you see today. Right? Because you put it into your mind, because it is something that you are looking out for. I guarantee you're going to see more red cars today than you've ever seen in your life. Right? You have that level of control about all the other thoughts in your mind. You have that level of control about all the other things that you want to do in your life. Right? So red car, you're going to think about me, right? But I don't want you to think about me. I want you to think about the fact that you spoke it into existence. And instead of speaking a red car tomorrow, I want you to write down an affirmation, and I want you to speak that into your existence.
I love it. Alan, thank you so much for being here with us today. May you have a wonderful and blessed day, and that you continue to be the blessing that you were for us on this call today. We really, really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Awesome. Yo, guys, you can do anything you set your mind to. If I can do it, you can do it. I expect great things from all of you. Where you are is exactly where God needs you to be right now. Honor it, and I guarantee he's going to have something great for you somewhere down the line.
Well said.
All right.
Thank you, Alan.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.